Hi there, I'm Dave Swartz, Chief Information Officer for American University. In terms of wireless, we have issued an RFP last year. We've made the award to Aruba. We actually have a pilot network going in at the Tenley campus and also the law school. Our plans are really start to crank up the wireless starting this summer. We have a couple hurdles we need to get over first. The most important of that is the CCA and authentication. So we have to find a replacement for CCA and authentication by this summer in order to really move that forward. So we're looking at that now. But
so that's security. It's internet secure, wireless security.
Yes, it is. The security, the authentication that's required in order to access the network, and also the posture checking to make sure if you access the network, you're not spreading viruses. The G is a different network. It's more on the edge. The old networks really are more centralized. Mm-hmm. That's a plus, but then we have to push the authentication and the security to the edge.
Okay.
Now, Aruba has some products, but so do some others, and so we want to evaluate those products and make sure we make the right decisions and get it deployed fairly quickly. So that's our priority right now, and once that's resolved, then we will go gung-ho to replace all the wireless. Now, one of the interesting things about the wireless is that rather than, the hundreds of WAPs that we have on campus now, we'll have many, many thousands of WAPs. So not only will we have more, basically WAPs on campus, but the way the end standard works and Aruba works is they all work together. So we're excited about that, and we think it's probably an 18-month to 2-year on the outside time frame to have it all done.
Great.
So we will be starting with the highest priorities places first and working our way from there.
Great. And if you can, just talk about the demands and the need for wireless. And you mentioned video during your presentation.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to be the biggest bandwidth demand for these college campuses?
I think so. I think there's two things that concern me. Is that when we look at deploying classrooms, we really don't want to have just specialized classrooms, one that is really robust in wireless and one that doesn't. We want all of our classrooms to be potential wireless hotspots so you can do the innovative things that you're doing in your class right now. So what we really want the ability to do is, in the end standard, if we put a number of WAPs here, they can grab bandwidth from the surrounding classrooms that may not be using it and pull it into the classroom. So that allows almost every space on campus to become an innovative space and not just have dedicated spaces for that. So we think that will be exciting. The other thing is because not only will more bandwidth be available, but it's more reliable. So I think a couple things. One, we get much more information in the new technology about the status and how it's working. So we can be more proactive rather than reactive. I think it's very important. And also it's fault tolerant. So if something fails, that area around that won't go dead, which is what happens today. And so it'll keep on trucking.
Right.
So those are the big drivers for it.
Well, you mentioned in class how 10 years ago, I guess you guys were really at the front of the line as far as technology goes on college campuses. Where do you put yourselves right now?
I would say, more in the middle of the pack, and that's not too bad. Actually, where we started, being at the head, and now we're at the middle. But over the next year or two, we'll move back to the front.
Right. In cloud computing, I need to touch on that a little bit.
Sure.
I know it's kind of, I guess some people take it kind of in different ways. It's a little bit of a vague term. Where do you see cloud computing on American University going in the near future? Are we going to be seeing more of our applications that we need in classroom? Are they going to be hosted, or is all our data going to be hosted? What do you see it? How do you define it, first of all? Where do you see it going on campus?
Well, we've already made a great start in starting to leverage the cloud. I think the potential is enormous. I really do. I think that more and more, I think we're going to become more of the coordinator of applications, the facilitator, than the ones that actually run the thing. So I do think that software as a service, platform as a service in the cloud is going to become a major thing for us. And that way, for example, let's look at Blackboard. We have the option today. Do we run Blackboard, or do we host Blackboard as software as a service? Right. And at some point in time, that price point will break. Right now, it's still cheaper for me to do it, but that price will come down. And at some point, I'm going to probably say, you guys do it. You have 6 data centers around the world. They all work in tandem together. If one goes down, you keep on trucking. I'm putting in my second data center. I only have 1 data center now, but I'm putting in a second one. So I'll have some redundancy on Blackboard by this summer, but I won't have 6 sites. And I won't have the depth of expertise that you guys have at Blackboard to stay on top of the updates and the revisions and the things that I don't have, So I might have 1 DBA and they might have 10. So they have more depth. So once that price point cuts over, that just like I've done with Google Mail and Google Apps, I will probably move more and more things to the cloud. And the beauty of that is, the more things I can move to the cloud, then the only things I'll do are the things that I can't get done outside. And I can focus on those things that differentiate our university, or that the university can't get, and that allows me to focus. And right now, I got to do everything. And I tell you, we just don't have enough resources to stay up with the expectations and the needs, even to maintain the old legacy stuff. So I'm excited about it. The potential's there, but you have to have some caution. You just can't just jump at every little thing because there's lots of new stuff. You want to be sure there's going to be a service level. It's going to be reliable. They're going to give the same kind of commitment that we would give. But I see that happening.
Great. So outsourcing can be very practical.
Yes, outsourcing. There's all forms of outsourcing. Some would be partly out, partly in. So there's a range of opportunities that are emerging that are just very exciting.
Last question,
Sure.
and it's kind of a two-parter, but our focus is really on the challenges of both the wireless and cloud computing. If you could just kind of sum up in a nutshell the biggest challenges when you're dealing with wireless,
Right.
and the biggest with cloud.
Well, the overlap between the two is that in order to get to the cloud, you've got to have a reliable wireless and network connectivity, right?
Mhm.
If that's not reliable and redundant and robust, then you can't get to the cloud. So it doesn't, that's the one thing that frightens me, is that if we don't have in place the most reliable, fault-tolerant base of network, which includes both our campus backbone and our wireless, then to put things out in the cloud is risky. Because right now, when it's in my data center, it's on campus, I have multiple pathways to that, all high speed, and I can control it. When I go out to the cloud, I don't. But as long as my access to the cloud is reliable, and the cloud itself is robust, which it is, then we should be okay.
And the reliability, you're really dependent on these networks that are
That's why we connect to 3 and maybe 4 of them. Because if any one of them goes down, we still have access.
And those are different providers.
Yes. So
Okay.
for example, we have our Internet 2 connection, which connects us to virtually every university and research institution. We have RCN, and we have Cogent. And we're going to select yet a third commodity ISP here in the next few months. So we'll have 3 different ISPs and Internet 2. So they'll all be load balanced, but if any one of them goes down, we still keep on trucking. So our access to the cloud and to the Internet is going to be robust from the point of the client, whether it be over wireless or connected to the wall, and even to the Internet. And so when you depend on a cloud for an application or service, or even data storage, like Amazon's doing now, you want to be sure that your access to that service is robust and reliable and doesn't bottleneck. And that, to me, is my number one priority. And so you've got the right topic, because without the highways in place, the cloud, you can't get to the cloud, right? So we've got to be sure that that's our number one priority, that we open up the access, we make it secure and reliable, and then we can leverage all the opportunities that are in the cloud, and new ones coming out every day.